It's very hard for me, Sean. I'm not a crier, but I'm to the point where I'm broken, you know what I'm saying?
Hey everyone! You won't believe what just went down in Angela Deem's latest court hearing. For those of you who don't know, Angela Deem is a well-known reality TV star from the popular show 90 Day Fiancé. And right now, she's going through a really messy divorce from her husband, Michael. But things took a wild turn when Angela completely lost it in the courtroom.
Yara, shut up. You have no, you don't know what I do.
Sit down and respect.
Why don't you sit me down, bitch? Sit me down.
Sit down. Sit down and have some respect for everybody.
Let me break it down for you. So, this was supposed to be a pretty regular day in court. Angela and Michael were there to deal with some divorce issues. But as soon as things started, it was clear that Angela wasn't happy. She couldn't sit still. Witnesses say she kept shifting around in her seat, crossing and uncrossing her arms, and shooting angry glares at Michael, who was sitting calmly on the other side of the room. You could just feel the tension building up inside her. It was like watching a ticking time bomb, and people in the courtroom could tell something big was about to happen. Angela's frustration kept growing as the hearing went on. She started tapping her fingers loudly on the table like she was running out of patience, and it seemed like she was having a hard time keeping her anger under control.
Shut the up. Here you go already.
Get out.
Shut up. Shut up.
Come here, telling me that it's not gonna be good. Who the you think is scared of you?
At one point, things got so bad that she even stood up and began pacing behind her chair, which is a major sign that something wasn't right. It was obvious to everyone that she was getting more and more irritated. And while all this was happening, guess what Michael was doing? Absolutely nothing. He stayed calm the entire time, sitting quietly and paying attention to the judge without any sign of stress or anger. He barely even looked at Angela. His cool, collected behavior was the complete opposite of what Angela was going through. It was like he was just letting the court do its job while Angela was fuming in her seat. Now, here's the really interesting part. Angela's body language was screaming that she was upset, but it wasn't just about the hearing itself. It seemed like she was holding in a lot of anger from everything that had happened between her and Michael throughout their entire relationship. From the moment the judge started speaking, it was clear that Angela was struggling to keep her cool, and it didn't take long for that anger to bubble over. People in the courtroom later said that Angela looked like she was on the verge of an explosion, and they weren't wrong. Her frustration was building up more and more, and you could see it on her face. Her eyebrows were furrowed, her fists were clenched, and she was clearly trying hard not to interrupt, but it was only a matter of time before she snapped.
Michael, your wife kept saying, give me my visa. That's your personal document. That's something I want you to understand.
You can tell him to shut his
I am not shutting my mouth.
The judge started talking about Michael's request for compensation. Basically, Michael was asking for money because he said he suffered emotional distress during their marriage. You could tell this really hit a nerve with Angela because as soon as the judge mentioned it, she completely lost her cool. Without even waiting for the judge to finish his sentence, Angela stood up and started shouting, accusing the court of being biased against her. She yelled, "This whole thing is rigged," and her voice echoed through the entire courtroom. She was so angry that she didn't even care that she was in front of a judge. She just kept screaming that everyone in the room was against her and that the court was letting Michael get away with everything. Angela was acting like the courtroom rules didn't apply to her, and it was clear she wasn't going to back down anytime soon. Now, here's the thing. When you're in a courtroom, there are certain rules you have to follow, like staying calm and showing respect for the judge. But Angela, she was doing the exact opposite. Even though the judge kept warning her to calm down, she wouldn't listen. She just kept yelling louder and louder, waving her arms around in frustration. It was like she didn't care at all about the consequences of her actions. But then things went from bad to worse. Angela wasn't just upset about the case anymore, she started making things personal. She directed all her anger straight at the judge and even threatened him. Can you believe that? Angela actually told the judge that she would use her fame and media connections to destroy his reputation if he didn't take her side in the case. She said, "You don't know who you're messing with. I'll make sure everyone knows how unfair you are." At that moment, everyone in the courtroom was in complete shock. Threatening a judge is a huge deal, and Angela crossed a line that you just can't cross in court. It was clear that she wasn't going to stop, and that's when the judge decided enough was enough. With a firm voice, the judge ordered Angela's immediate arrest for contempt of court. If you don't know, contempt of court means disrespecting the judge or ignoring the rules of the courtroom, and Angela was definitely guilty of that. Officers quickly rushed to Angela to restrain her, but she wasn't done yet. Even as they put handcuffs on her, Angela kept yelling, refusing to go quietly. Her lawyer was was just standing there, looking helpless because there was nothing he could do to stop it. But Angela wasn't going to make it easy for anyone. She kept shouting as the officers let her out of the courtroom and placed her in a holding cell to cool down. And guess what? Even behind bars, Angela didn't stop. Reports say she kept screaming at the officers and refused to cooperate with them. This just made things worse for her. But Angela, being Angela, didn't seem to care. It's clear that Angela's famous fiery attitude, the one we've all seen on 90 Day Fiancé, was back in full force. But this time, it wasn't working in her favor. Instead of helping her, Angela's outburst was making things much worse. Not only was she facing serious legal consequences, but her behavior could also mess up her chances in the divorce case. By defying the judge and losing control like that, she might have just made things a lot easier for Michael and his legal team. So, after Angela was dragged out of the courtroom in handcuffs, she was taken to a holding cell to cool off before being transported to the local jail. You'd think that maybe she would have calmed down at this point, but nope. Angela was still raging. Reports say that she kept yelling at the officers and refused to cooperate with them. Now, here's where things get serious. Angela's behavior in the courtroom could have major consequences, not just for her divorce, but also for her legal standing. Legal experts are saying that by openly defying the judge, ignoring courtroom rules, and threatening the judge's reputation, Angela has put herself in a really bad spot. The judge might not take her seriously anymore, and this could hurt her chances of getting a fair outcome in the divorce. One of the biggest issues Angela faces is the division of assets. That means splitting up all the property, money, and other things she and Michael own together. The divorce was already messy, but now, because of her behavior, the judge might lean in Michael's favor. Angela's outburst showed the court that she's having trouble controlling her emotions, and this could make it harder for her to prove her side of the story. And that's not all. Angela could face even more punishment for being in contempt of court. Contempt is a big deal because it means she disrespected the judge and didn't follow the rules. If the judge decides to punish her, Angela could be looking at hefty fines, which means she'd have to pay a lot of money on top of everything else going on in her life. So not only could she lose out on the divorce settlement, but she might also end up paying for her behavior. But wait, it gets worse. Angela's threats to the judge might lead to even bigger legal problems. When she told the judge, "You don't know who you're messing with," and threatened to use her fame to ruin his reputation, that was seen as intimidation. And guess what? Threatening a judge is a serious crime. The legal system does not take that lightly, and if the judge or prosecutors decide to press charges, Angela could face criminal charges. This could mean jail time, more fines, and even a huge hit to her public image. Speaking of her image, Angela's reputation as a reality TV star could take a huge nosedive after this. People already know her for being fiery and dramatic on 90 Day Fiancé, but this is a whole new level of drama. Fans are reacting to her arrest, and let's just say the response hasn't been kind. Many people think Angela went way too far by disrespecting the judge and acting out in court, and they're not afraid to say she deserves to be punished for it. Some fans even compared the courtroom to a trashy talk show, saying it looked more like something you'd see on the Maury show than in a serious legal case. Ouch! Others pointed out that Angela is a grown woman who should know better, and she needs to face the consequences of her actions. And let's not forget about Michael. While Angela was having her meltdown, Michael's legal team was quick to take advantage of the situation. They pointed out to the court that Angela's outburst wasn't just a one-time thing. It was part of a pattern of reckless and emotionally unstable behavior. They argued that this is exactly what Michael had to deal with during their marriage, and now the court had proof of it right in front of them. Michael's lawyers used Angela's behavior to show that she's not in control of her emotions, and they said this was solid evidence that Michael deserves compensation for the emotional distress she caused him. Basically, Angela's courtroom drama is playing right into Michael's hands, and his legal team is using every mistake she makes to strengthen his case. This made it easier for the judge to see Michael's side of the story and made Angela's claims seem less credible. Basically, Angela's outburst played right into Michael's hands, and his lawyers used it to their full advantage. One of the biggest things Michael's legal team is arguing for is a fair division of assets. That means they want to make sure Michael gets his fair share of the money, property, and other things they shared during their marriage. With Angela's outburst in court, Michael's team can argue that she's not stable enough to handle these decisions and that Michael deserves more because of the emotional stress she put him through. Michael's calm and collected behavior is also helping him with the public. While fans were quick to criticize Angela for her courtroom meltdown, many people are praising Michael for keeping his cool. Some fans have even said that Michael's reaction showed real maturity and that he's been handling this messy situation with a lot of grace. This public support could play a role in how people see him, both in the courtroom and outside of it. Fans are used to seeing Angela be loud and bold on TV, but threatening a judge and disrespecting a courtroom is a whole different story. If Angela wants to save her reputation, she's going to have to work really hard to turn things around. So, what could Angela do to bounce back? Well, she could apologize apologize for her actions and try to show the judge and the public that she's willing to take responsibility for what happened. If she can control her temper and start acting more respectfully in court, there's a chance she could still walk away with a fair settlement. But it won't be easy. Angela is known for being tough and outspoken, and it's going to take a lot for her to change people's opinions after what happened. So, what's next for these two? There are still a lot of questions that need answers. Will Angela be able to apologize and fix the damage she's done, or will she keep digging herself into a deeper hole? Will the court decide to punish Angela for her threats? And if so, how bad will it be? And will Michael's calm approach help him win the divorce battle and walk away with the assets he's fighting for? It's hard to say exactly how this will all play out, but one thing's for sure, this drama is far from over. We'll have to wait and see how the court responds to Angela's behavior, and whether or not she can turn things around before it's too late. And as for Michael, it looks like he's in a good position to come out on top, but there are still plenty of twists and turns that could happen. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think Angela will be able to recover from this, or has she gone too far? And do you think Michael will end up with a big win in court? Stay tuned for more updates on this crazy story, because there's a lot more to come. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any updates on this story and all the other celebrity drama we cover. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.